And here's Harry with everything that's coming up. Boom!
Whoa! We're going to talk about Rhys Ifans. Is he going to be next Doctor? Matt Smith thinks it'd be a good idea. Georgia Moffat is doing lots of things. The NTAs, that happened. And Chris is back for more.
What is that?
Fantastic!
On the inside!
I'm the Doctor. I'm a Time Lord. I'm from the planet Gallifrey in the constellation of Kasterborous.
I hope the ears are a bit less conspicuous this time.
You might be a doctor, but I am
I'm a doctor, but probably not the one you expect.
Absolutely fantastic.
All of time and space, everything that ever happened or ever will. Where do you want to start?
Hello everybody, and welcome back to Bigger on the Inside, the new Who Doctor Who watch-along podcast. I'm Harry, joined for the very first time in the history of this podcast.
Hello, Harry.
In person.
I was keeping up the thing of talking over each other. I thought it would be fitting.
To be fair, yeah, it's kind of like a staple of our podcast. Without the constant interruptions and misunderstandings, it just isn't Bigger on the Inside.
That's true. Yeah, we're recording for the first time in person in a very nice studio, which is a complete lie. We're in my car about 2 minutes away from Harry's house. It's raining. The microphone is balanced off the steering wheel. This could be the worst sounding episode we've ever done.
Or the best.
Or the best. It could be the best. Our voices are probably slightly louder than each other's, but we'll just...
Yeah, Tim is just a smidge closer because Tim's chilling in the front seat. I'm kicking the back seat.
With all the ladies.
Oh, yeah.
Keep it down, ladies.
Whoa, ladies, please.
We're doing a Doctor Who podcast over here.
Babe, not now. I've got to record the Doctor Who podcast.
Talking of which, Harry, there's lots of news this week.
Yeah, I thought you were about to say, talking of which, there's lots of babes.
Lots of babes this week.
Lots of
babes means news.
This one's called something about the phrase, the word babe. I don't think I've ever used babe in an unironic context.
Hey babe. No, I haven't.
Ooh,
the only people I call babe are my okay. We're recording in person and it's just as slick as it always has been. Phone calls, talking over each other and bad jokes.
So speaking of babes.
Do we have any news, Harry?
Yeah. I mean, I thought we had a real thing going with the whole babe bit.
I feel I've outrun it.
Okay, so the first thing is that what does this have to do with Doctor Who? You'll find out. The trailer for Edgar Wright's next film, Last Night in Soho, came out. Matt Smith is in it.
That's in it.
That's the link to Doctor Who.
Okay. So that came out, and until about yesterday, there wasn't much news. And in the last couple of days, it just seems like everybody started talking about Doctor Who again. So I was going to ask you the question of how good do you think an Edgar Wright Doctor Who story would be?
Oh, is that what we were going to talk about?
That's what we were going to talk about. We can talk about it very quickly.
I wouldn't mind seeing him come and direct one episode. I don't know if his style is perhaps just a little too... It's a very distinct, very kinetic, frantic style. I'm not sure it would be best
He
suited.
hasn't really done space sci-fi yet, has he? He's had
World's
sci-fi elements and comic booky stuff, but like an actual spaceship.
No, the closest thing is World's End. But yeah, no, he's not done sci-fi. And he doesn't seem to have any interest in sci-fi from what we've seen of his work thus far.
I saw online that he was saying that he would
there was almost
write
Ant-Man,
an episode.
wasn't there?
Oh, yeah, there was almost Ant-Man, that's true.
Yeah.
Let me have a look. Edgar Wright, Doctor Who. Doctor Who. I'm in aeroplane mode as always, so people can't distract me. Do you often put your phone in Do Not Disturb even when you don't need to be disturbed? It doesn't really matter if you're disturbed or not.
No, I generally leave it on because I have massive FOMO and don't want the outside world to move on without me.
I found something here from Edgar Wright. Let's try and find it. Doctor Who exposed... what the heck is this? Oh! Okay, so a little insight into how I do the research on the podcast, right? Is I just searched Doctor Who and on news, right? And this is an article from The Guardian about a doctor. The first little words of the article are Doctor Who did something. So as in, not the name Doctor Who, but the word to do something, as in the man who did this. So we've just been trolled there completely by Edgar Wright.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure Edgar Wright isn't the first person to make that joke.
But he does say here from Digital Spy that Edgar Wright would like to write for Doctor Who. So perhaps not direct, but he would like to. He would like to write it. And apparently he was offered to direct Rose as well, which is interesting, but he turned it down.
Oh, wonder why.
What was he doing? 2005. Was that Shaun of the Dead time?
I think it was a little. Was Shaun of the Dead? I think it was either a little before or a little after.
I want to say
that.
Shaun
I think
of the Dead
was that 2003. Shaun of the Dead.
2003, 2004, isn't it? So perhaps he was already working on Hot Fuzz.
Well, I feel like he was probably because that was like a.
Shaun of the Dead's 2004.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Shaun of the Dead was a pretty big hit here, at least, right?
Yeah, massive.
I know, kind of like the Cornetto trilogy has definitely gotten kind of bigger over time, but I want to say that after doing a big comedy like that, he was probably too big already for Doctor Who.
That's true. Any other? There's lots of news, Harry, so let's skim through this.
Yeah, next up.
And get to the juicy stuff, which we've saved till last, so people have to listen.
Yeah, so the next thing is that Jenny is back.
Hooray! Jenny, the Doctor's daughter.
The Doctor's daughter is back again.
Yep, in Big Finish form.
Let me just check.
Click on the link I sent
you. I've not clicked on this link until we started recording.
I like Big Finish, right? And I like a lot of the stuff they do, but sometimes I look at it and I go, apart from that returning character, I don't know what's the thing they're asking me to come back for.
Oh, yeah, she's back, and she's in a cowboy hat.
Oh, there we go then. Answers my question. But do you know what I mean? I sometimes see it and it's like, such and such is back, and I'm like, okay, but aside from this returning character, what is it? What have you done with the story? And I sometimes feel the audio element of that is kind of limited because you can't watch a trailer or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, Big Finish do these amazing trailers with all these amazing CGI stuff, but like, from an outside point of view, you can't really sort of catch up on clips and stuff. You really do have to buy it and listen.
Yeah. I mean, it just kind of seems to be a series of standalone Doctor Who adventures in which Jenny is the main character.
Hooray.
Hooray.
I was always really surprised they never did anything more with Jenny. Do you think they intended to? Like maybe a CBBC spin-off or something like that?
I mean, am I right in saying that Jenny coming back to life at the end, from what I heard, was kind of a last-minute change introduced by like maybe Moffat or someone?
Perhaps, yeah.
So I don't think it was ever the intention.
I've got a Doctor Who graphic novel at home, and it's got a Jenny and 12 story in it.
Really?
Yeah, and it's exciting when they meet, but then it's sort of just like,
no, they're here.
Yeah, there's like nothing really there because she's not really his daughter, and he does actually have a family out there, or did. And I always think that's more exciting, and why I really like the character of Jenny, and I think it's interesting if we didn't already know there was an actual family out there anyway.
Yeah, I feel like kind of a character like Susan, I feel, is far more embedded within the history of the show.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more to explore with that. And I know that Susan has been explored a lot in Big Finish with, I know, McGann's and a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel, I don't know if there haven't been any audio crossovers with Jenny yet, have there?
I don't think so. I think she's only... Oh, no, she's met the 5th Doctor.
Did she?
Yeah, so she did one with Peter Davison.
Because that's
her actual dad.
Yeah. And
you can't not mention it. It's like when we did the Doctor's Daughter episode.
Where we actually we went through most of it without mentioning the thing that people talk about when they talk about the Doctor's daughter.
But then... Sorry, but the character Jenny, I just think it's a really interesting character, but I just don't have any attachment to it outside of the episode.
I feel like if they'd done stuff with her immediately, they could have developed her into something special, but
it's been too long.
They didn't. Yeah, and I don't know how much. Maybe these Big Finish stories do a lot for her characterization, because I know that the 6th Doctor was obviously the best example where he was not a popular incarnation on a TV show, but then through Big Finish they did a lot of work on his character, and he's kind of, amongst Big Finish listeners, he's one of their favourites.
Yeah. I think we need to get into more Big Finish stuff.
We
we
do.
did. I know we got some Eccleston stuff coming up later, but did you ever finish those Eccleston runs? Those 3
Ravagers.
Yeah.
I honestly only listened to the first part.
Yeah.
It was a very busy time. I was in the middle of rehearsals for a show.
He's lying.
That's my go-to excuse now. For
You can't use that anymore. You've now finished.
I'm still rehearsing for shows, Tim.
Oh, God's
I'm an
sake.
actor. I'm a working actor. I'm going to be rehearsing for a lot of shows, and it takes up a lot of time.
Big Finish, if you need somebody to whine like a little bitch, I want one sat in the back of the car.
Big Finish, actually, please hire me though if you're listening.
Give me scared. Give me a scared scream.
Ah!
Give me a interested sort of sound.
Huh?
Give me satisfaction. Oh, was it like that?
I took a bite of a really nice piece of chicken.
Is that what you had just before I picked you up?
No, I've not had my tea yet.
What are you having for tea?
I am having, I believe it's some kind of pastry. I think it's I can't remember. A something bake, or maybe it's a pie.
I'm having corn nuggets.
Corn?
Yeah.
I didn't know you liked corn.
Well, over in January, I went vegetarian for a month.
Oh.
And then discovered that I preferred a lot of vegetarian alternatives. Like sausages aren't nice.
As in, like, pork sausages?
Yeah, but vegetarian sausages are really nice.
Really?
And there's a Linda... this is completely irrelevant to anything else, but there's a Linda McCartney burger. There's just cheese in it.
As in there's cheese in the burger patty itself?
Yeah. And it's real nice. So I eat that instead, yeah.
Oh,
So there
that's
you go.
weird.
Saving the planet and all that.
Is it? But corn's like a bit more pricey though, isn't it?
It is, that's why I only buy the nuggets. I'm not prepared to do the sacrifice for anything else.
What if like you were to like mash up the nugs and then reshape it into like a patty?
Oh, that's a good idea. So take the breadcrumbs off the nuggets.
Blend it, bro. Pop it in the blender and.
But I've got to take the crumbs off. I've got to take the batter off.
Oh yeah.
And then just like mush it with the palm of my hands into a big chicken ball. And then, well, it's not chicken. And then flatten it and fry it in a pan.
Yeah, that would, I don't know. It doesn't sound very, satisfying when you appetizing. That's it. It doesn't sound appetizing when you verbalise it. But,
how was you proposing I did it?
Well, pretty much like that. But I wasn't planning to go into depth because when you go into depth about,
I once watched a video of someone cook a crab.
A crab?
Yeah, like they bought the crab and you saw them crack it open and stuff. Because I think I just cooked a fish for the first time. This is like 2019. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do a crab next. And then I watched someone do it. I was like, nope, that's too much. And also, I like to say when I cooked a fish, I don't mean I bought a fish and descaled it. I mean, I bought some already cooked salmon.
Yeah.
And put it in a pan.
Salmon's good.
Salmon is good. What else is good, Harry, is Doctor Who news.
Oh, yeah, Doctor Who news. This is a Doctor Who podcast.
Do you think Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are going to be in a new Spider-Man movie or not?
Yes, I do. Did you see Andrew denying it on Jimmy
Where he does
Fallon?
that thing where they go, are you in it? And he goes, dude, I really wish I could tell you I was in it, but
well, he doesn't say,
I'm
he
really
said,
not
he
in it,
says
I promise.
He does deny, he says it's Photoshop, but I feel like there was a lot of dodging on his part.
Yeah.
I feel like it's very obvious. He handled that situation well, because obviously Kevin Feige would be very annoyed if he said that he was. But I think he's in it. I think he's definitely in it, and he's just doing the whole PR thing.
Because loads of other people have like sort of said that they're in it, who are also in the movie.
Well, Alfred Molina and Jamie Foxx both. Although I think it was their casting was already announced.
Yeah.
I think Alfred actually mentioned a lot more than he was meant to.
I think he mentioned Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, we know Willem Dafoe's in it.
And who, I forget, he plays another teacher in the Homecoming movies. He's got like a moustache. I can't remember his name. But
It's not the guy who played the lizard, is it? It's not.
No. This is in the last Spider-Man movie when they travel. Yeah. He was like, I can't wait to see Tom with Toby on the big screen. He just said it. They were like, I think like the interviewer was trying to catch him out. You know when they go. Yeah. And David, I bet you can't wait to be at the 60th. And he goes, all right, it's done up to me. And they were like, and which Spider-Man are you looking forward to seeing Tom with? And he goes, oh, he has great chemistry with Tobey Maguire. And just walks off. And the interviewer was like, oh, great. That's that busted. Oh, dear me. Anyway, sorry, back to Doctor Who.
Yeah. Alright, so more news about Georgia. Her and David, they're doing a new horror project.
Tell me about it.
Okay, I'll just open the link.
As you can tell, when I started gathering news this week, there wasn't much Doctor Who news, hence the reason there is a fair bit of news on other things.
Let's see, Doctor Who stars David and Georgia Tennant are a fantastic couple, both on and off the screen. How do you know? How do you know, Michelle?
That's a terrible start to an article.
Yeah, how do they know?
They are a beautiful couple on and off screen.
But are they going to be in a Jekyll and Hyde adaptation?
Jekyll, Jekyll, Hyde, Jekyll, Hyde, Jekyll, 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 Hyde, Jekyll, Hyde. We can now sing in time.
Wow.
We've never been able to do this before.
This is amazing. This changes everything.
Normally I start a song and then you join in and I have to stop.
There's going to be so much spontaneous sing-song now.
I know nothing of Jekyll and Hyde apart from that Arthur song, so please explain a little bit more about what that is, Harry.
I've not read it.
Do you not know anything, but you're a drama student?
Well, Jekyll and
What's
Hyde
it about?
It's a novella. It's not a play.
I don't know what any of these words mean. Do you know what it's about?
It's a short little book. I don't know. You should ask some 15-year-old kid. It's on the GCSE thing now. It's a GCSE English.
Oh, I'll just shout out the car window and ask for any 15-year-old children walking past. You want me to do that, Harry?
Okay, I retract my statement.
Just find a 15-year-old and ask them. Do you know nothing of Jekyll and Hyde?
I do know, but it's about this doctor called Dr. Jekyll, and he makes a potion that turns him into this bad guy called Mr. Hyde.
And are they both in it? Is he in it? Is Georgia in it? What's going on there?
David plays a disgraced journalist who finds a story that could relaunch his career but will put those around him in danger. As he goes on the run, he's involved in an accident that has a strange side effect, and he starts to wonder where the monsters are, and whether he may be a monster too. Okay, so it's kind of a reinterpretation.
So he is Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
And also Scoop McLean.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what George's involvement
She tends
is.
to be a producer,
I think she is just producing it, yeah.
She doesn't do much acting anymore. I would like to see, apart from stage, but I wouldn't really class that as...
Yeah. Oh my god, the article goes on about... mentions the Doctor's daughter
does it?
and all that. Do you even know that Jenny played the Doctor's daughter?
Jeez.
And that she also is the daughter of real-life Dr. Peter Davison, and she's married to the 10th Doctor, David Tennant.
Oh, God, let's move on then. Matt Smith gives his thoughts on who should be the next Doctor.
Oh, this is actual Doctor Who news.
Let's try and drag this one out. I'll turn this one into a video.
Real Doctor Who news.
8 minutes minimum.
Okay, so... Matt Smith has given his suggestion as to who he thought would replace Jodie. Now, honestly, before we go into who his choice is, I just want to say I'm surprised of all the actors who I thought would give their thoughts. Matt Smith is the last one I expect to actually put his hat in the ring.
I'm surprised he's actually given a name. Because a lot of the time it's just like, I can't recall like David or Peter going, this person would be good. It's normally like someone like Billy who would go, Helena Bonham Carter, or someone like that. You know, it's usually a supporting actor who would give a name. It's quite rare that an actual past Doctor gives a name of who they think should be the Doctor.
Yeah, so, moving on to who Matt has actually said, he said, you know who I think would be a brilliant Doctor Who?
Me! I'm gonna do it again! You can't get rid of me! I'm back! Game of Thrones!
That actually reminds me of, do you remember the teaser for the 13th Doctor before it was revealed to be Jodie? Like, there was the one where like the number 13 appeared all around the UK.
Oh, yeah.
And there was one shot where it was 10 Downing Street, and the number 10 turned into a 13.
Yeah.
And some people thought that meant that the 10th Doctor, David Tennant, would be coming back to play the 13th Doctor. Which is the most...
I thought you were going to say something like Penelope Walters, or whatever her name is, who plays Harriet Jones.
No. It's the people generally thought the 10 turning to a 13 meant Tennant's going to be 13. Which... It's fine. It's the second silliest thing Doctor Who fans have done, other than watching all of Death in Paradise because they thought Christian Marshall would be the 13th Doctor.
That's true. I did that. I didn't watch all of it. I watched some of it. I think I knew who Chris Marshall was before that. Yeah, because he was in My Family, wasn't he? The sitcom with Robert Lindsay.
Oh, yeah, I think he was. And he was also in Love Actually as
he was
the guy who women slept with because he was British.
That's a Richard Curtis film. And talking of Richard Curtis films, carry on the quote, Harry. It does make sense. Carry on the quote.
How was that? What's that
Just read the quote. Read what Matt
Oh,
Smith
yes.
said.
Matt Smith said, you know who I think would be a brilliant Doctor? Rhys Ifans.
He was in Notting Hill.
Oh.
There you go, you see.
Oh.
Directed by Richard Curtis.
Oh, wow. I thought Richard Curtis was just a writer.
Okay, maybe he did just write it. I don't know.
But Matt Smith said Rhys would be sort of cool. I don't know if we've had a Welshman yet. I'm backing Rhys.
What do you think to that casting? That suggestion?
Well, it's actually refreshing that of the Welsh actors Matt's picked, he didn't pick Michael Sheen.
That's true.
Because I feel like Michael Sheen has already shot down that he's going to be the Doctor.
I don't think he'd make a very good Doctor Who.
He's a great actor, but
he is.
Something about him doesn't strike me as the Doctor.
That's true.
Master, maybe? I don't know, but not
this guy
the
would
Doctor.
make it looks like a better Master.
Rhys Ifans.
Yeah.
Have you, what work of his have you seen?
Notting Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Let me have a look at his...
He was also in The Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh, was he? What did he do in that?
He played the lizard, Dr. Connors.
Oh, well then I've seen him in that as well then.
Yeah. I've seen him live.
Oh, what did you see him in?
I saw him in On Bear Ridge at the Donmar Warehouse.
Oh, that's good.
In 2019.
I've
Yeah,
no
he was
idea
very
what
good
any
in
of
it.
those words mean, but
It was a play. It was a play.
I've seen him in Nanny McPhee Returns.
I've not seen Nanny McPhee Returns.
He was also in
He was in A Bigger Splash, wasn't he? No, what?
The
not A Bigger
Boat That
Splash.
Rocked.
Was he in A Bigger Splash?
Kevin and Perry Go Large.
Or am I thinking Under Milk Wood? He was in Under Milk Wood, wasn't he?
I don't know. What else do we have here? Yeah, a lot of stuff.
He's a very accomplished actor.
A Christmas Carol the movie from 2001.
Is that an animated one?
It looks like it, yeah. Family animation. Who else was in this? Oh, Nicolas Cage, Robert Llewellyn.
Kate Winslet?
What is this?
I think I've heard of this. It was like a American animated Christmas Carol with like an all-star cast.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if the animation was very good.
No, it doesn't sound it. He sounds like I could see him doing it, but I feel like he's too similar to Capaldi.
In what regards? That he's old?
His age, his
that it?
posture, like just looking at
The body type.
Yeah,
He's quite thin.
quite tall, thin, and old. Anyway, he doesn't. I mean, not old, but you know what I mean.
I think especially, since we know the Doctor doesn't just have to be a white guy now.
Exactly.
Having,
right, yeah.
I'm not saying we can't have different types of white guys, but I feel like if you're gonna have a white guy, you need to do something different with the white guy,
What would your suggestion be? Go on.
As in,
A dwarf?
well, we could have, perhaps.
Warwick.
Or like, I don't know, like plus size. We've never had a plus size Doctor.
That's true. Yeah, I feel like he would have been a good contender for 12 as a replacement for Capaldi if Capaldi didn't do it. But I feel like it would be just a backwards step almost.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, I feel like it's a bit of a... It wouldn't be breaking the mould. It wouldn't be breaking any boundaries.
Exactly.
It wouldn't
right.
turn heads.
What do you think they should do if you're talking about breaking boundaries? So they had like 12 white dudes, and then they've gone with a white female with Jodie. What do you think they would do next? I would be surprised if the next person is a dude. I think they should stick with it being played by a female.
I think for the longevity of the show, I think that would be a good choice, because
Yeah.
then people wouldn't dismiss Jodie as that time they tried casting
The
a woman.
experiment.
I
as
hate
I
that.
keep getting.
I hate that. I've said it before. I don't think you put it in the episode, but I hate it when people refer to Jodie as the quote-unquote female experiment. Primarily because
Women exist.
there's just so much of Jodie's performance. The vast majority of Jodie's performance and her writing and the First Doctor has nothing to do with the fact she's a woman.
Yeah.
Like, the fact she's a woman hardly ever plays into her role.
Surely by saying it's a female experiment that didn't work, you're then going, well, William Hartnell was a male experiment that did work. And you wouldn't say that because it makes no sense.
Yeah. God. I don't know, but I mean, I feel like I'd like to think, though, that even if it is a man or perhaps even someone who doesn't assign to the binary gender.
Yeah.
Like, we could have a non-binary actor. It would make sense.
Yeah.
It would make more sense than ever now. But I feel like the precedent's been set with Jodie that the Doctor just doesn't have to be a man. And then with stuff like Joe Martin, the Doctor doesn't just have to be white.
Yeah.
You know? The Doctor now, the doors have been blown open. Anyone can play this role. And I think that's a great thing. And I hope that's something that future showrunners keep in mind. Even if we do return to a white guy.
Like you.
Like me.
Is that why you're saying it?
I'm
here also.
I mean, I wouldn't... That would be like one of those pie-in-the-sky dream roles, you know? That's like...
Well, you've already done your audition for Big Finish, so anything could happen now.
My audition for Big Finish?
Give me Hungry.
Oof.
Give me, you've just opened a present. It's from your grandma. It's a Christmas jumper. Your birthday is in September, and it's a medium, and you're an extra large. Give me how you would react to that.
Oh. Thanks, Gran.
That's not how I reacted with that. For context, it was my birthday the other day, and that exact thing happened.
Were you... What did
She
you
was.
say?
I opened it in the car, and she wasn't there. And I went to my dad. I went, "It's a Christmas jumper." He went, "That's nice." I went, "It's September," and he went, "Oh yeah."
Why? To be fair, in your grandma's defence, there's not much you can do with a Christmas jumper on Christmas Day.
But I see her on Christmas Day.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you receive a Christmas jumper on Christmas Day, you can only wear it for one day.
That's
Whereas
true. Okay.
If you get it in advance, you can wear it for the whole Christmas season.
But I'm gonna see her before then, before Christmas. Why not just give it to me like a few days before Christmas?
Because it won't be your birthday then.
But she doesn't just need to buy me gifts because it's my birthday. She buy me gifts for my grandma.
Does your grandma buy you a lot of gifts?
No, but she tries and pies stuff off on me. I don't know. Have you got any grandparents?
Now I just have the one.
Yeah, I just got the one grandma, and every time I go around, it's like, take this can of soup. I'm like, I don't want a can of soup. It's like, give it to your mum. I'm like, I don't live with my mum. Stop giving me food, Grandma.
Why does Grandma not want soup?
I don't know. And every time I
she
go
not
around,
buy
it's a
the
cup of
soup
soup,
herself?
a pot noodle, a can of soup, some leftover bread, some milk, some orange juice that she's only given me because she can't get the lid off.
If she purchased it herself, all that stuff, then maybe it's because she knows you're a struggling student.
I'm clearly not a struggling student. I'm an extra large Christmas jumper size. It's a medium. Do I look like a medium? You would struggle to fit in a medium.
A medium would be a little big for me.
Yeah, exactly. Where's like 6 foot plus? I put it on my mum. You've met my mum. She's at least 5'2", and even that was a struggle. Anyway, Doctor Who news.
Yes.
What's next?
Did we? I don't think we actually said anything about our thoughts on the. Oh wait, we did. We did. Sorry, I lost where we were.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so now here's the actual big. This is the actual news this week.
Big news, come in. Do a jingle for big news.
Ba-dum, bum, ba-dum.
Ding dong.
Ba-dum.
Bottom.
Chris Eccleston's doing more Big Finish.
Hooray! To be honest, very surprised.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was very surprised. I assumed that.
One and done.
Yeah, well, Chris is agreeing to do the series was a situation completely of circumstance. You know, it was 2020, pandemic, not much acting work going. Chris Eccleston is a working actor who needs work.
I need to feed me family. He's not Cockney, is he? He's from the north.
Cockney, he's from the north.
I need to feed me family. That's Dudley. Do you do it?
I need to feed my fam.
That's it, yeah.
But yeah, Chris Eccleston is doing more Big Finish. And yeah, honestly, I thought, yeah, it was just a complete circumstantial thing. He was going to do this one and done. We'd be like, it's nice that this worked out. At least we're getting something positive out of COVID. And now he's back. He's doing more, which I guess means that he likes working with Big Finish.
I saw a quote, and you might have it there, is that when he said like the first time he walked into the studio, and he like looked at the sound guy, and he was like, okay, let's do it. And he just like instantly loved playing the Ninth Doctor again, which is great. It also says it's going to be 2022 into 2023.
Yeah.
Which is anniversary territory, depending where they go with that. We got another quote from Chris coming up shortly about possibly returning to television work for the 60th. Do you think if he's willing to do Big Finish, there is a possibility for in which we see a Christopher Eccleston take part in a Big Finish anniversary special for the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who?
I think after this, if he really did enjoy it as much as he said he did, I think that we will be seeing, before we know it, some sort of crossover with another Doctor in Big Finish format.
Yeah, same.
That's what I'm hoping for. That is honestly what I am hoping for.
But it's like I remember seeing an interview with Paul McGann, and he was saying like the reason he returned to do his regeneration is because it was the thing that was missing from canon. And I now sort of feel like the thing that's missing is the fact that every Doctor, apart from Jodie at the moment, has met another version of the Doctor apart from the Ninth Doctor. The Ninth Doctor has never met another. I feel like that's now the outlier. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I really hope that we get something like that.
Yeah. Just for Big Finish, or do you think there's a possibility of him doing TV as well?
We'll get into that with that next quote, but on the next bit of news anyway. Yeah. But I think there's a possibility of it being Big Finish, and I think it's 100% more likely that it's going to be a Big Finish thing than it would be a television thing, just because of the BBC's involvement, or lack of involvement anyway.
Additionally, what do you think the likelihood is of, because we literally know nothing about these upcoming stories, do we?
No, nothing.
What do you think the possibility is of perhaps us getting Billy Piper?
This was my next question, and I read the Big Finish article, and there's no mention of anything really. It would be a shame if they never do it.
Yeah.
I know Billy's done Big Finish stuff with David.
Yeah.
So I would really like to see Rose and Nine back together.
Same. They are... Nine and Rose is one of my favourite TARDIS pairings. Yeah. It might be my very favourite.
Yeah.
I just think they have a wonderful chemistry. And we don't know a ton about Chris's thoughts during the Ninth Doctor tenure, but we know bits and bobs, of course. But one thing we definitely know is that Chris really, really enjoyed working with Billy. And he thought Billy was great. And you can see that in their scenes together. So I think if the opportunity arises, I don't know how busy Billy is. I don't know, is she doing another series of I Hate Susie?
Probably.
It seems like it was pretty well received.
Yeah.
But if there's time for her to get in that booth and work with Chris, that would be really, really cool.
Yeah, I'd love it, yeah.
That'd be really cool.
But, I mean, I'd rather have David and Chris do a little crossover.
I feel like we have to work up to that. I feel like...
I do, yeah. You can't just go... Yeah, because I feel like if... Okay, so let's say they go, David and Chris, and then they go, Chris and Billy. You kind of want the Chris and Billy thing first, because that reunion is special, and then you're getting something you've never had before.
What about Chris, David, and Billy? How would that play out?
That would be interesting. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I feel like that introduces a lot.
Which version of the Doctor is Rose with?
I
think she should be with 9, and the 10 we're with is a pre-Rose. Rose is already dead. Go on.
So wait. So you think?
So the 10th Doctor meets. So let's say this is 10th Doctor between series 3 and 4.
Okay, so when he's lost Rose.
Yeah, and he bumps into the 9th Doctor, who is still with Rose.
Okay.
So he has to watch himself be in love with a woman who he knows is going to die.
Oof. That's because it's either that or it's series 2 Tennant and Rose with Chris before series 1.
No, I think you do it. It's series 1 Chris and Rose with series 2 Tennant and Rose. So it's 2 Roses.
Wait, so
and the whole thing is just like it's billed as like this massive thing of David Tennant and Christopher Eccleston finally meeting, and you play it, and it's just like 45 minutes of Billie Piper talking to herself.
It'd be called A Tale of Two Roses.
That's very good.
And in the I can see the cover. You'd have body shots of Chris Knight at the front, and then two kind of what do you call them? Like kind of slightly faded,
like silhouettes.
Yeah, not, but like they're like probably see-through.
Oh, transparent.
Yeah, two kind of transparent headshots of Rose in the background, and the billing is David Tennant, Christopher Eccleston, Billie Piper.
with David Tennant and Christopher Eccleston with Billie Piper. Introducing Billie Piper
as Rose.
Again. So you mentioned there about Chris possibly returning to television work. There's one last piece of news, isn't there, about someone asked Chris about returning to the 60th.
Is this the Radio Times one?
Is this the very last one? This one so. Here, in which he says it's doubtful.
Yes, that's right.
Which is more promising than
when hell freezes over.
Yeah, than what he said before. But what really annoys me about this whole thing is it's the one problem that is stopping Chris returning, and I don't understand why nobody has decided just to fix the one problem.
And is that the BBC apologising?
Yeah, there's a quote in that article, if you can find it, in which Chris mentions about the BBC not apologising for what they did about it, literally how they screwed him over after Doctor Who Series 1.
Yeah.
You got it?
Let me find it. I agreed with Russell that I would go, quietly and respectfully. I want to look after the show publicity-wise in terms of publicising it. And then, without saying anything to me, they announced that I was leaving. They didn't tell me they were going to do that. I was walking down the street and suddenly I got quite a lot of aggression. And more importantly, they created a quote and they attributed it to me, which said I was tired. Now the thing about that, I found it too tiring. I didn't find it too tiring. I found it too tiring to work with Russell and Phil and Julia. I didn't find it physically too tiring. When they said that, any other producer reading that would go, we're not going to employ Christopher Eccleston because he gets tired. So it was a lie. And it was in quotation marks. And I'm from Salford. You don't do that to me.
Is that what he says at the end?
Yeah.
I thought you ad-libbed that little bit. What's interesting about that quote is he just names the people. In the past, it's been, I clashed with 3 people, and we've always sort of gone, I wonder who those were. But the fact he's gone, it's Phil, Julian, Russell. I think that's quite interesting now.
Yeah.
But they're not involved in the show anymore.
I mean, perhaps, but I feel like...
So who needs to apologise to Chris?
Well, I feel like it was the BBC publicity team who issued that, isn't it? So
it will have been, but Russell will have had to have signed off on it.
Okay.
Because I watched an interview in which he said he signed off on everything. Like, I think he did an interview with Sue Perkins on her podcast in which he said, like, he would be up till like 3 a.m. watching totally Doctor Who because he has to sign off on every episode and make sure everything's right.
Right.
So he will have... I would be very, very surprised if he didn't know about that quote before it went out.
Okay. I mean, maybe Russell didn't have the knowledge that it wasn't a real quote from Chris.
Maybe that's true, yeah. I believe there's blurred lines. I mean, well, Russell always seems like a very nice man. He won't come on the podcast, but I don't...
That's because he's
not super busy.
He won an NTA earlier this week.
He can't be that busy. He's sat at awards do. He doesn't have half an hour between 2 months ago and Christmas to jump on Zoom and chat with us two about how much we love his work. I think his agent's lying to us. And he likes every single comment on one of his Instagram posts apart from mine. He knows me and he doesn't like me.
Alright, Tim.
I hate my grandma and I hate Russell T Davies.
Tim has a big list of nemesis, some of which are involved with Doctor Who.
2 of them are.
Yeah.
2 of them are. Oh, God.
Tim, we love Doctor Who, and that's why we hate Doctor Who. I don't hate Doctor Who. Tim's turning into a typical Doctor Who fan.
Hate everything. Wish it was like it was when I was a kid.
Back in 2005.
In 2005, when I liked it.
You weren't even watching in 2005. Your first episode was Doomsday.
Yeah, it was. That was the best. Went downhill from there with a female experiment. That's right, I'm looking at you, Catherine Tate. Oh, God.
I legitimately don't know how to respond to this.
Is there anything else Chris says in there?
Let's see.
While you look for it, I'm going to say I don't think he will ever return to the show. But I think the fact we get him through Big Finish is better than nothing. It's like expecting you're going to get a foot-long Subway sandwich, but you actually get a 6-inch one, and you thought, oh, damn it, I really wanted a foot-long. Oh, yeah. But then you go, the 6 inches at least better than nothing.
Basically, just before that, Tris said that his relationship with the BBC hasn't healed. So
has he done anything for the BBC since?
I'm sure he did a drama
series. What's that
series
autistic one? With
the A Word.
That's BBC, isn't it?
I think so, and I think he did a series called Come Home, which was also BBC.
I'm going to look at his IMDb.
I'm sure he has worked with the BBC since, but I think Doctor Who is the sticking point specifically.
If you Google Christopher Eccleston, the second thing listed on his thing is Day of the Doctor.
Really?
So he wasn't even in, yeah.
Well, they used like 2 seconds of him, didn't they?
And now for my next trick.
That was it, yeah.
Let me have a look.
And you can tell it's a lower camera quality.
The A Word, yeah, BBC. Danger Mouse, BBC.
He was in Danger Mouse?
He played J. Wellington Sham in one episode in 2018.
I don't know Danger Mouse lore well enough to...
Safe House, was that BBC? That was more ITV. He's been doing a lot of stuff. For the Dark World. I think he really liked that. Blackout, BBC. The Shadow Line, BBC. Accused, is that what you were talking about?
No, it's called Come Home, I think.
Lennon Naked.
Oh yeah, that was one where he played John Lennon.
Yeah, so he's done a lot of stuff for the BBC anyway, but... Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I think just Doctor Who specifically must be the sticking point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other news, Harry, or is that everything?
That was all of the news which you sent me. Do we want to talk about the vaguely Doctor Who related TV winners, NTA winners?
David Tennant won an award for Des. Did he win Best Drama?
Yeah, Russell T Davies won. It's a Sin. The show won Best Drama, so it was a collective thing.
Was Doctor Who nominated for anything?
I don't think.
Because I voted for the NTAs. I always vote for the NTAs because I just don't want Mrs. Brown's Boys to win, as we mention every year. And luckily, this year it wasn't even nominated. But
there hasn't been any Mrs. Brown's Boys this past year.
There's never been any Mrs. Brown's Boys, but it's always there at the NTAs. I don't know why.
Was there even a Christmas special this year?
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
Mrs. Brown's Boys. Didn't we find out one week that Mrs. Brown's Boys has almost as many Christmas specials as it does actual regular episodes?
I'll have a look. But I think there's more episodes of Mrs. Brown's Boys. Yeah, you're right.
They're all like holiday specials than regular episodes.
Okay, so I want you to start adding these up. Are you ready, Harry?
Okay.
Series 1 had 6 episodes.
Okay.
Series 2 had 6 episodes.
12.
And then Series 3 had 6 episodes.
18.
Okay, and then there was there was Christmas special in 2011. There was 2 Christmas specials in 2012. There was 2 Christmas specials in 2013, 2 Christmas specials in 2014, 2 Christmas specials in 2015, only the one in 2016, but then 2 Christmas specials in 2016, 2 in 2017, 2 in 2018, 2 in 2019, 2 in 2020, 1 in 2020. Then there was a Halloween one in 2021, and then 2 Christmas ones in 2021 again.
That's 23 holiday specials.
And how many episodes were you added for series was there?
18.
Oh my, that's
And even
terrible.
if you move the Halloween episode, so it's 19... Okay, let's move the Halloween...
The Halloween special and the summer special by the looks of it.
Okay, which brings it down by 2 to 21, and the other one up to 20. There's 21 Mrs. Brown's Boys Christmas specials and 20 non-Christmas specials.
I mean, everybody knows how much I hate Mrs. Brown's Boys. I generally despise it.
I can't remember the last time I watched it. Usually by the time Mrs. Brown's Boys comes on, me and my brother on Christmas Day have sneaked into the other room to play video games.
Yeah, usually doing something else, yeah.
Well,
I used to really like The Big Bang Theory, and then I watched that a couple of weeks ago. I just can't stand it.
I liked it when I first saw it, when I was a kid. It isn't my kind of humour, but it clearly appeals to someone.
I was watching it, I'm like, there's nothing funny about this. You're just laughing because he said Picard.
But he says it in this funny way. Sheldon's like, Jean-Luc Picard?
Oh, yeah. Brilliant! Do you want to segue into the episode, Harry?
Yes.
What is it?
Last week was Unicorn and the Wasp, right?
It's libraries.
Yeah.
Go on.
It's a good thing we're doing this in a car, Tim.
Why is that, Harry?
Because there are some places where if we were as loud as we have been this week, we would be told you have to be quiet. Like, they expect a level of silence in the library, for instance.
Yep, good. And the next one, Forest of the Dead.
Well, actually, we actually parked up outside of some. Well, it's not.
It's like a woodland.
Yeah, some like grassy bushes and stuff. Although it's pretty rainy and miserable, so the atmosphere is pretty dead. You could describe it as a Forest of the Dead.
Those weren't too bad.
They weren't. I feel like I wish I could have found a way to work them both together at once, but that's wasn't really possible.
That's true. Enjoy the episode, everybody.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut it up!
Humans are better in one respect. You are better at subscribing. Seek, locate, subscribe. What's the point in having you all?
There was lots of exciting news this week. If you thought last week's episode was half-assed, you are in for a treat today, everybody. Due to our ever-growing busy schedule, because we're just such a pair of busy boys, we've taken the decision to record this week's watch-along segment at 8:30 in the morning. On a Tuesday morning. I've got to head to Manchester shortly. Harry's got proper jobs to do. So here we are talking about 2 episodes of Doctor Who. What are they called, Harry?
The Silence in the Library and The Forest of the Dead by Stephen Moffat.
Yeah, now, from the get-go, we're going to do Silence in the Library. I noticed these are very strong Moffat-themed episodes. You could tell from the very start that these were Moffat episodes. There's a little girl character, it's very common, with Madame de Pompadour and a young Amy Pond. He seems to like his young female leads, especially with Sally Sparrow and characters like that. It's set in a library, which seems like a very Moffat thing, endless stories and endless time in stories and things like that. What else do I have here? And the whole thing is based around a child's imagination. That seems like a very Moffat thing to do as well.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, because this is something that will obviously feed into what we see later in the episode. Had Moffat been confirmed to be the next showrunner by the time that this came out? Because obviously there's certain elements within this episode that kind of come back in his run.
Yeah, there is. I don't know. I want to say no. But I did write down here that this is almost a glimpse of what David Tennant's 5th series could have... Doctor Who Series 5 with David Tennant could have looked like. Which is something that... we did that. We've done a video on that, so go check that out if you want to. But it does seem sort of disconnected from the rest of the series, these 2 episodes, because it is really setting up something that is to come over the next 2 series, in which none of the on-screen talent and a lot of the behind-the-scenes writing staff aren't going to be there for anymore. So
yeah, totally.
I even felt like looking at it, the whole blue tint of the episode. It was all very futuristic of what's to come with Matt Smith.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing that you pointed out. It's aesthetically, the thing that I did notice is that just the whole setting of the library feels like, especially coming off something like Blink in the last series, which is obviously the Doctor Light, the low budget episode. This is clearly the polar opposite. This feels like it was one of these stories that kind of got priority in the production schedule. It has these huge CGI landscapes. I guess quite Star Wars in that sense, in the same way that kind of New Earth was.
Well, I wonder then if they did know that, or if it had been announced. They must have known Moffat was in talks to, at least in talks to take over from Russell, because otherwise they wouldn't have given one of his episodes, such a priority.
My understanding from what I've seen of Moffat interviews is that while he hadn't been confirmed or he hadn't had any kind of conversation, it was kind of this unspoken thing that when Russell left, he would probably be the next one to take the reins, just because his stories were so beloved and so strong that it just made sense for him to be the next showrunner.
Yeah. So before we get any further and before we forget, Harry, what did you think of Silence in the Library?
Just Silence in the Library?
Yeah, we'll do Silence in the Library, then we'll go on into Forest of the Dead.
I think it's very cool, very unsettling episode, but unsettling in a very cool way. It kind of is able to unnerve you in a way that only Moffat can, suddenly making you very kind of aware and tuned into things that you aren't usually. Very much the kind of stuff like counting the shadows and setting that up. Suddenly you kind of watch the screen in a way that you just don't really do with any other episodes. You're just hyper aware of the lighting and the shadows, and that's something that usually we take for granted, but here it forces you to take attention. Your attention is drawn to it, and the whole thing with the kind of framing device with Dr. Moon and the girl seeing the library is all very intriguing, and it's all very confusing, and he doesn't give away his hand too early. He waits until the very, very end of this two-parter for it to all make sense, and it kind of keeps you guessing and figuring things out throughout, which I thought was very cool. I like that he had that level of kind of faith in the audience for us to stick with these kind of abstract, at first hand abstract kind of concepts and storytelling devices until it was revealed what was happening.
Yeah, that is one thing I wanted to talk about, is the fact that it is a two-parter, and in the past I've been critical of two-parters, often saying that the story does feel dragged out, and I'll repeat myself with that. I did feel a lot of this first episode as a lot of character stuff, sort of establishing each character, introducing them, a lot of questions asked but not a lot answered, until those last sort of 10 minutes where, the character of Dr. Moon goes and has a conversation with a young little girl and reveals it is all real. Don't listen to your dad. It's all real and they do need your help. And I would be lying if I said up to that point I was somewhat disappointed with this episode, because I knew it brought in River and it brought in this other fun team, and it was a big thing that was going to be setting up for the future of Doctor Who. And I was sort of watching it going, this is the library one, I remember most of this, but I'd completely forgotten about that twist, and then it happened and I suddenly got very excited about it, and it was just something that I think Moffat does very well is what's it I'm trying to say? Like, you expect one thing from the episode, and all of a sudden there's a very quick U-turn and we're going in a different direction, or he leads you on to believe we're doing something else, and then suddenly goes, actually no, everybody's lying and this is true, or whatever. I think that sort of stuff in Moffat's episodes is great.
Yeah, he likes to keep you guessing. I think I appreciate that in this episode. Without giving too much away about my thoughts on the Moffat era, I think that I can think of at least one instance off the top of my head where I feel like once we get into his era, he perhaps pushes the boundaries of that a little too far, to the fact, like, to a point where it kind of hurts my head a little bit to keep track of what's going on.
I think I might know what you're talking about,
But here he gets the balance just right. I think this is kind of just the right level.
Yeah. Before we get on to River, let's talk about... there's a really good scene in this with Donna, which, I don't know, I only just caught it, in which the Doctor grabs Donna and pulls her out of a shadow at one point, or he says, be careful of the shadow. I believe that's what he does. And Donna smacks him, and she goes, watch your hands, or something like that. And I thought that was, it's such a throwaway line very quickly. Or she goes like, hands, or something like that, as in, get your hands off me.
Yeah.
Compared to Rose and Martha, and what their reaction would have been to David Tennant's Doctor grabbing them and moving them around the room, I think it really does set aside, like, the this character of Donna, and that sort of, you know, she has lived her life. She's matured as an actual human woman, but, you know, it sort of shows that then just because you've matured as a human and you've experienced stuff as an actual human doesn't mean that this alien life won't, you know, sort of expand your mind, sort of. So the whole thing of sort of they are just mates, I think, was quite refreshing, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I've meant to bring up kind of with pretty much every episode of this watch along, because it's something that is in almost every script so far in this series, where at some point there's some sort of allusion to the fact that someone mistakes the Doctor and Donna for a couple.
Yeah.
And they both very quickly shoot it down. Be like, oh no, we're mates. They pretend to be brother and sister or something like that.
Yeah.
But they're very quick to shoot down. And not in a kind of will they, won't they type thing, where things like, no, we're not like that. We're literally pals.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Doctor's actual future partner, River Song. Spoilers, if for some reason
Do you mean his past partner?
Shut up.
Get it? Because time travel.
Let's talk about the character of River Song. When she was first introduced in this episode, and you watched it go out live, did, like me, you instantly just assumed that she was a future Doctor's wife?
I didn't really, but I honestly don't remember what my thoughts were on River Song when I first saw her.
Oh,
honestly,
really?
when she came, I was like a 8-year-old kid at the time. I've never been very good at remembering faces and names. I'm pretty sure that when River Song came back in series 5, I'd forgotten who she was. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay then. So in hindsight, watching it back, knowing the future of this character, how do you feel about seeing her first on-screen appearance? Because I was my emotions to it were different to what I was expecting, but I want to hear what you have to say first.
Yeah, I was actually quite surprised at how impactful it was. And also I have to really commend Moffat, because it's impossible to talk about River Song's introduction here without the hindsight of her whole arc throughout the Moffat era.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I was really very impressed at how, even though I've been ahead and watched all of that before coming back to this, how kind of consistent this felt with the River Song we had seen throughout the Moffat era. And this really did feel like, and I have to hand it to Alex Kingston as well as Moffat's writing, that it did genuinely feel, watching Alex Kingston's performance, that River Song, the character, had experienced all of these things with the Doctor that we are yet to see. And the fact that she slipped that, despite the fact those stories hadn't even been written yet at this point, she had no idea what was coming ahead. She just had, a couple of throwaway lines referencing certain bits and bobs, like the singing towers, yada yada. Yeah. And the fact that she really sells that those are things that she experienced with the Doctor, I'm just really, really impressed. And I think it gave me a whole new appreciation for the storytelling of River Song that I didn't have until coming back to this episode.
Yeah. I found it strange seeing David Tennant and River Song together. And I mean, that was a pairing that we only see once. I know there was recently a big Finnish story. But you know what I mean? I so heavily associate River with Matt Smith and a little bit with Capaldi. So seeing her with David, I think it's interesting. It's really weird, sort of. It's like seeing Luke Skywalker. I'm doing it again. It's like seeing. I'm trying to think of I want to think of something that isn't Star Wars that I could talk about. It was like when Futurama crossed over with The Simpsons. It was weird, but we liked it.
I didn't see that episode. Was that a Simpsons episode or a Futurama episode?
I think it's a Simpsons episode.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, but you know what I mean? It's strange seeing those two versions interact with each other, and I would be interested in, maybe when we finish some of this, is doing a River Song thing and watching her stuff chronologically instead of from the Doctor's point of view, finding out what episode we need to watch in what order for River Song to have her story played out, because this would be the last.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, because watching this episode, when River Song entered, suddenly, because I had the familiarity of the history of River Song, when I was viewing that scene, when I viewed it for the first time, I very much viewed it through the Doctor's lens of like, who's this weird woman who's acting all strangely around me, as if she knows me and being flirtatious. Whereas this time, I was watching it entirely through River's perspective and her point of view, and how weird it must have been for her, for the Doctor to interact with her in this way, because she'd assume that he knows her.
Yeah, that's clever though, isn't it?
Especially the scene with the diary when she's going through it all, and she's slowly realizing he doesn't know who I am, and you can see how that hurts her.
It's a very small diary for a man who's nearly 1,000 years old.
Maybe she writes in very small writing. We never see the inside of it.
That's true.
Did Alex Kingston actually write things in that diary? I think I heard that somewhere.
Yeah, I think we did a video on it when we did the new stuff, that she did a thing because she recently had her book out, and in it she did like a few promo videos, and she talks about, I think if in the actual diary the production team had wrote in very vague references to stuff Moffat had mentioned in the script, and maybe a few extra Easter eggs for stuff that would be revealed and stuff. So I think that's kind of cool. I don't know if Kingston herself wrote anything in it, but I know there was stuff in that diary.
Oh, that's cool. Just stuff we never get to see.
I'm just going to apologise in advance. If I'm coughing and spluttering and maybe snorting and you can hear some background noise, I've had to open my window and I'm full of cold this early in the morning. I'm currently enjoying a nice cup of tea. How do you feel so far, Harry, about doing one of these early ones?
It's not that bad. I actually rather like it. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Might have to do it again. Harry, what's a Vashta Nerada? What's one of them?
Is this an early quiz? Or
no, it's just a genuine question.
Was that a planet or something? Or was that the one? I can't remember.
I think it was the monster thing that hides in the dark, but I didn't really get it. And I feel that's something maybe Moffat struggles with a little bit. Is usually there's a very interesting key element of these episodes, and something like the monster sometimes gets pushed to a side. Especially when you look at something like not the Fires of Pompeii, the girl in the fireplace. Those clockwork droids are there, but I'm not really, apart from the physical appearance of them, I'm not that interested in them. I'm more interested in how the fireplace works and the character of Madame de Pompadour herself and the Doctor's relationship with that character. He seems to be a very good character to build relationships upon. A very good writer to, flesh out relationships. And I feel sometimes key elements of Doctor Who, the monsters and stuff like that, maybe sometimes get pushed aside. Obviously, that's not always true with stuff like The Empty Child, but that's just
and Blink.
Yeah, and Blink, of course, yeah. Blink's a good hybrid of those two things. You have Sally and Larry who get on, their relationship is really well fleshed out. And obviously then you got the Weeping Angels as well. But then again, I like how I think the vagueness of the Weeping Angels helps. You don't really know where they're from, sort of thing. So I quite like that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I feel like part of the fear factor of the Weeping Angels comes, and also the Empty Child in the first part, the fear comes from just that ambiguity of what they are. You don't know exactly what they are, but you know what they'll do to you. And I feel like that kind of adds to it. Maybe the monster here would have been more effective if we didn't know exactly what it was. Whereas, of course, because we've got the Doctor who has this encyclopedic knowledge of so much of space and time, you can immediately identify what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What do you think to Stephen Moffat liking to put David Tennant on a screen? In Blink, we got him talking to everybody through a laptop, and in this episode, we have him talking to everybody through a television screen when he's talking to the little girl.
Yeah, I found that to be a very fun kind of, because obviously the whole framing of the girl in her kind of living room, watching on the TV screen, I find it very entertaining. Especially, I remember there was one point, I think it was in Forest of the Dead, where she's just watching the action, and here she's reacting to it. Like, I think it's a bit where the Doctor's hanging on to the library, and she kind of like gives a little laugh. It's like, it's like an actual kid watching Doctor Who.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I never thought of it like that, but that's good. I want to get onto that more in the next one, but before we move on to Forest of the Dead, anything that we haven't mentioned about Silence in the Library? Oh, let's talk about the girl who dies, Towie. The only way is Essex, her. She's an interesting character, but I hate the line where she says they think I'm stupid because I'm pretty. I feel you wouldn't know that. Do you know what I mean? If you were that person, you wouldn't think, everybody thinks I'm stupid because I'm pretty. I know very pretty people who have that sort of the only way is Essex representation about them, but I don't feel like they know that everybody knows that about them, because I don't know, I felt it was a weird juxtaposition of a sentence. They think I'm stupid because I'm pretty. Nobody thinks they're stupid, really, do they?
Do you not think so? Do you not think there are some people who have that sort of insecurity about themselves?
I don't know. I don't know if it's an insecure... But then again, is she stupid? Because she went for a dump and ended up in an escape shoot twice. So maybe she just isn't that suited to this job.
I guess she's just really beating herself up about it. Because when she's surrounded by people who are really competent at what they're doing, and maybe it's just not a fit for you, but you're surrounded by people who know what they're doing, it will make you feel comparatively stupid.
Yeah, that's okay. Fair enough. And also,
although it is weird that, I mean, I guess it makes sense, the whole thing that it is kind of, if you try to analyze the line, they think I'm stupid because I'm pretty. It doesn't make sense if you try to break it down. But I think that's kind of the point. On an emotional level, it worked for me, and I understood how she came to that conclusion. Although it is weird, especially when you compare it to the fact that, we've got a very smart character, probably the second smartest character in the room, of River Song, who is, as Moffat has described in interviews, a really sexy woman. Sorry, I had to mention that line because I find it.
I love that. What if it's
for context,
doctor,
there was an interview,
but she's a woman
Moffat did.
and she's sexy.
Yeah, but I need to explain the context for this, because it's just something I've been waiting to choose the context for, because I find it weirdly amusing. I don't know why.
Yeah, go on.
I think it's just the way that Moffat said it. When creating Science of the Library, he's had conversations with Russell about, wouldn't it be cool if we introduce this character who has met the Doctor before, but the Doctor hasn't met them yet. And they liked that idea, and Russell thought it was cool. And then Moffat said, and what if it was a really sexy woman? And wouldn't that be funny, because she'd be flirting with the Doctor and he wouldn't know how to react? And I get the logic he was coming from, but the way that kind of Moffat introduced it made me think, do you think it would be funny, Moffat, or do you just want to put a sexy woman on the screen?
It's very true.
And
it's very true.
it's something I can't help but think about it, like, especially when we get to the Moffat era and we get characters such as Amy Pond and Clara Oswald, and that Moffat logic crosses my mind each time. It's like, are you doing the River Song thing again, Moffat?
I remember hearing him
casting really attractive women because you think it'll be funny, or do you just want to cast attractive women?
I saw a thing where I think he was asked about if he'd ever considered replacing a male Doctor with a female Doctor. I think it was in that Who show. I think it's the same interview actually. And he says that he didn't want to replace David with a woman because the show had been, was such a hit with David that something like that could have really thrown it off kilter straight away. So I think and then he went on to describe that the most realistic time you could have done it was after Matt, because he described Matt's Doctor as a sexless Doctor, which maybe makes me think, is that why he then casts, or creates, characters who tend to be attracted to the Doctor and just sort of bemused the 11th Doctor? Did he know that's what he was going to do?
Yeah. Because I have heard...
But it is funny.
It is interesting. There's a lot to unpack. And I know people who have... who do kind of identify the 11th Doctor as asexual in that way. I've also heard him described as demisexual, which is slightly different. Which is something, because I feel like there isn't... I mean, we're getting way ahead of ourselves.
I just love the idea that there's a BBC meeting somewhere. They're all like trying to pitch ideas, and every single one of Stephen Moffat's just ends with, "But she's a woman and she's sexy," and everyone goes, again, Stephen."
It'd be really funny because the Doctor will know how to react to a sexy woman.
He's on the table, his arms are going, he's like squatting, he's getting so excited. He's like that guy from Looney Tunes with the guns. You know, the guy with the big mustache and the guns. He's
Sam.
Like, yeah, he's like, pew, pew, pew.
This is a very bizarre image of Stephen Moffat that we're painting.
Harry, before we go on to Forest of Dead, anything we haven't mentioned?
What are your feelings on the faces on the rotating face?
Oh yeah, Spoon Donna. Yeah, that's a bit weird, isn't it? It don't really bother me.
It's a little bit unsettling, isn't it?
I don't know. I didn't really feel that unnerved by it because I think it's so removed. If it was the other way round and there was a person walking around with a spoon head, maybe.
So you're saying you'd rather have had like a human body with a spoon for a head?
Yeah, that would have been more unsettling, I feel.
I just found that funny. It's like, "Hello, I'm Mr. Spoon."
Oh yeah, if they spoke like that, then yeah, but definitely. Oh, jeez. Just like just endless walking into the walls. And every time one of the characters looks at them, they're just bemused by their upside-down reflection.
And they make all kind of spoon puns. "Hey, get a load of this scoop."
Harry, let's do the quiz.
You, not me. I hate being patient. Patience is for wimps.
That was a good build-up, as always. Question number 1. When they land in the library, they are near the equator. And what book section or genre is near the equator for the Doctor to work that out? He goes, "We're near blank." Oh yeah, well done. 1 out of 4. Well done. Question 2. The Doctor can't use his sonic screwdriver on the wooden door, right? But what is the cause for the door being stuck to start with?
Can't remember, was something wedged in it or something?
No, I'm not going to give you that. The wood was warped.
I was say, was this the first mention of the screwdriver not working on wood?
No, I think there's an echo. It's in whatchamacallit, the one with the wire.
The wire?
What's that? Feed me. That one.
Oh, the Idiot's Lantern.
Idiot's Lantern. Yeah, I think it gets mentioned in there.
Okay. So it's Gators who invented that.
Yeah, the first time we see one of these spoon heads, it's a male. He identifies himself. What's his name?
Darren.
Oh, it's Mark. Very good this week. After such a flying results last week as well. Steve Pemberton's in this episode. His character tells how many generations of his family it took to decode the library. How many generations did it take?
5.
3. You got 1. 1 out of 4. That's absolutely terrible. When did you watch these episodes? Yesterday?
Yeah, last night.
Yeah, I did as well. I got into bed and I was off to sleep and I suddenly went, "Oh, balls." I haven't watched those episodes yet. I had to get back up and sit in bed and just frantically try and find interesting things to talk about. But anyway, let's go on to Forest of the Dead. It was at this point I realised Moffat likes his catchphrases. "Don't blink," "Are you my mummy?" "Hey, who turned out the lights?" Yeah, spoilers. He likes his lines, doesn't he?
He does. He likes, the repeated meme.
Yeah.
Said.
One thing I really like about Forest of the Dead, and I wish maybe they had built up upon it, was the idea of of Donna's second life. You know, she has these kids, she has her husband, who's weirdly called Lee Macquarie, which is too similar to Lee Mack. What did you think to that whole aspect of this? Because I don't have many notes for Forest of the Dead.
What's your issue with it? Do you feel like it was like too rushed, or what?
What No, I would have liked to have seen more. I feel like you could have done a full episode on this, and that sort of. I feel they do that a little bit in Series 5 with the Dream Lord episode, Amy's Choice, with Toby Jones. You know, that whole thing of is it the future or is it a dream sort of thing that Amy and Rory are living in. But I feel like I would have liked to have seen more of that family and more of, you know, her coming to understand that it's not real, because that's really impactful. That scene where the kids say, when you close your eyes, it's like we're not here, and then she just turns her head and they're gone, and you don't notice it straight away, and then suddenly the music changes and you go, oh shit, yeah, the kids are dead.
I'm in two minds about this. In one mind, yes, it's a really cool and freaky concept, and it is kind of strange that it's just thrown in here with all these other ideas. Because that's the thing, like this story is absolutely packed with all these different ideas and elements, and it's almost as if Moffat's writing this as if he's never going to have another the Doctor Who story, because it's so full of ideas, many of which he brings back down the line. And
I feel like he was really setting out his stall. Maybe he was going, "This is what to expect."
This is kind of like his proposal for, if I'm showrunner, here's all the shit you can expect.
Yeah,
really.
It's a good job he got the gig. Otherwise, I think our review of this would be very different. What do you think, though, to this life that Donna has? Would you not like to have seen sort of a bit more of that fleshed out, or?
Well, the thing is, kind of part of the point of it is that it's very rushed. Kind of, they make a very pointed thing of like whenever they go to a different place, like Dr. Moon like fills in the gaps in her head, and stuff like that. So, in a sense, it's kind of intentionally rushed through in that way. And I feel like for me that works, and it helps add to the kind of artificiality of that TV world.
Yeah.
And I feel like while it could have felt, like you said, rushed, I feel like Catherine Tate did a great job at kind of selling her own investment in this world, even if it feels rushed for us. And it positions us in a very interesting place as an audience, because kind of we see that she's happy in this world, she's happy with this husband and these children, but at the same time, we want her back in the real world. We want her reunited with the Doctor and on those adventures that we love, even though we can see how much this life means to her. And even once she's out of it, you can tell she's not really all right about it. Like you can tell that she feels like she's lost something.
I like it when she starts to realise, where she's sort of going, and then we did this, and then we had ice cream, and we did this, and then going, no, you didn't. And she knows she did it, and she's just making it up.
Yeah, like you can see there, like with each kind of transition, you can tell she's just not convinced by it, and it's falling apart. But she's developed this emotional attachment, and she doesn't want to let go of that because, you know, in her mind, up until that point, she's had children, she's raised children, and she doesn't want to lose that.
Let me just try and find it here. Apologies if you can hear some background noise from my PC. Where am I going here? Let me have a browse around on my computer. Just gonna have to move you slightly, Harry. The character of Lee, her husband in this, has a stutter which, you know, she picks up on, and I think is dealt with in a really good way in the episode. And I was speaking to Harrison, who I co-host the podcast with sometimes when Harry's not around. And I wanted to talk to Harrison about it because Harrison does have a stutter, and it was quite interesting to see that this is the first sort of representation of something like that within Doctor Who. And he very kindly sent over a little thing I'm going to attempt to read out. Bear with me, dyslexic with a slightly blocked nose and a cold, so do bear with. It says, one area that Doctor Who exceeds in the universe appeals to everybody. To see an actor who myself can relate to in popular culture with a stutter is proud and great. That's one thing that makes Doctor Who great, is that as Series 12 says, it's all about... one second. I should have really read this before. I'm not doing Harrison justice at all here. It's nice to see people like myself appear in the media. I love here we go. This isn't good. I shouldn't have read this, Harry. I'm already regretting this. It's nice to see people like myself appear in the media. A basic. I'm not going to read this whole thing because it does go on a bit, Harrison. You should have really kept this down to a minimum for a dyslexic. But basically saying how good it is to see himself represented, or see people of disability represented in Doctor Who, even if it be a non-visible one. It's not somebody in a wheelchair or somebody with. It's not something physical that you really pick up on. It's saying how the representation of seeing people like this in Doctor Who, it means they don't define you from being different. Also encourages people who are interested in this sort of stuff to pursue careers in front and behind the camera. Apologies there, Harrison, I completely butchered your lovely thing, but, it is 9:30 in the morning. We tried to be profound for a short amount of time on Big on the Inside podcast, but it didn't work.
That's really lovely to hear. I have to be honest, I've never actually had any kind of conversation with Harrison because, like Tim said, he's only on the podcast when I'm not.
You're not.
But listening, I had no idea that Harrison had any kind of stutter or anything like that. I couldn't tell from the podcasts with him I'd listened to. I have to say I was interested when watching this episode because I thought that the use of that character was effective in the episode and the way that it was used really worked. I did wonder how someone who experienced that in real life would react to it and how they felt. So it's very good to hear that it felt like a very genuine, meaningful representation.
Yeah, I think Doctor Who, I may be slightly controversial with what I'm going to say next. I think it either hits the point exactly or it sort of does the opposite. I mentioned there I'm dyslexic, and there is an episode in Series 5, I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to say? There's that little kid, isn't there? And I think it's the, not the Sea Devils, what are they called? They look like the Sea Devils. The Silurians. And it's when they return. It's a Chibnall episode, and one of the kids there mentions he's dyslexic, and the doctor's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's cool. You'll be fine." Or, whatever. And that was cool when I was maybe a bit older at the time. But I was like, it's kind of neat to see that finally mentioned in the show. But then there's a future episode. It's also a Matt Smith one, where someone in the future is going to have a kid, and the doctor says he's going to be dyslexic, but don't worry about that, or don't let that bother you. And I'm like, but the way the line is worded and delivered made it sound as if, everybody would be worried, but don't be. Rather than just going, it's fine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always found it was slightly misplaced.
I know kind of like the most prominent example of that is Series 11 and 12, where Ryan had a dyspraxia. And it was something that was very noted and felt, especially in Series 11. But I know that some people have criticised it as it went on for becoming less and less of a prominent thing. But I've not actually heard anything from people with dyspraxia and how they felt about their representation. Maybe they appreciate the fact that it didn't define the character as it went on, and it didn't inhibit him from doing things. But it's a conversation I need to actually have with someone with dyspraxia to know how they felt about Ryan's portrayal.
Yeah, definitely. The character of Dr. Moon, he gets more play in this, and it got me thinking, I think that actor, I'm familiar with his name, would have made a great Doctor.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Because it's a minor enough part for you not really to remember it. It's not like they're going, and now Billy Piper's the Doctor. It's this guy from those 2 episodes 10 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, it's interesting. And, I mean, it's hard to tell. I'm sure you'd have the range for it. In this episode, the Doctor character he's playing is a very kind of paternal, reassuring, calming figure who's kind of there to kind of, you know, oversee everyone and make sure they're okay. And I really like the fact that kind of they use the metaphor for it kind of being he's a literal in the library is a literal created moon to watch over this child.
Yeah.
And I thought that's a very Moffat image, but it's very impactful and it clearly communicates kind of what his role is in a very in a very understandable way. I couldn't, just judging from this episode, I need to see more of his work because, like I said, he was playing a very calming, soothing figure, and I think the Doctor needs a bit of fire in his belly.
Well, I sort of picked up on that from that bit where he goes, at the end of the last episode, where he goes, it's all real, and there is that some sort of change, like, it's like suddenly gets quite serious about it, so I feel like he could do it. I mean, he's been in stuff since, like, I think he's been in Arrow and stuff like that, and I think I was looking it up last night, and he recently got really sick with COVID as well, so I hope he's doing okay.
Heck. Is he alright? I hope so.
Yeah, he said he was okay. I think he was like one of those people who came close to death, but didn't die.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, well, yeah. It would have been a strange response if you said, huh. I never understand the thank goodness thing. You know, when you tell someone that someone's okay, they go, oh, thank goodness. Like, what? I don't feel like you needed to respond. Like, you knew what your reaction was going to be. Do you know what I mean? If you went, oh, really? Then that would be a conversation piece. But the fact that you just went, oh, that's good. Like, yeah, of course it is.
I mean, it is good. It is good. It is good that they're alive.
No, I'm not saying it isn't. There's a line in this where I thought, how did we not pick up on that when this episode airs? Which is when Steve Pemberton's character goes, you're bickering like an old married couple, and the Doctor and River both look at each other like, oh no.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
Like, and you can see the way that the two characters look at each other and respond differently to it. Like, the Doctor's very much, wait, are we married? And River kind of looks at him very knowing, like, yeah.
Does because Matt Smith's Doctor fancies Clara, but when he regenerates into Capaldi, he tells her he doesn't fancy her anymore because he's a different person. So is it just blind luck that every incarnation of the Doctor has had somewhat of a crush on River Song?
That's interesting.
Or does it go to set apart that River Song is a completely different character, and that, you know, it's not just your looks?
I guess it's the idea that kind of... I mean, I'm going to move back to this thing with Matt Smith. I brushed upon it before, that the 11th Doctor has kind of an element of sexuality about him. I can't describe him as sexless because there's scenes with him in which he's very clearly attracted to people, be that the TARDIS in human form, the TARDIS in TARDIS form, Clara and River Song. There's clear scenes in which there is an attraction there and a sexuality about him, which is why I use the phrase demisexual. I'm not an expert on this. This is something I've been explained to by people who understand far better than me. So I apologize. But my understanding with, and I believe this is what the 11th Doctor is meant to be, which is that for most people, he doesn't experience attraction in a sexual or romantic sense in the way most people do. It's only upon developing a stronger bond to someone that then those feelings of attraction can develop. And that's what I think is happening with the 11th Doctor. Like, kind of the people that he does develop attraction to, such as the TARDIS and River Song, are people who he has that trusting, close relationship with. And it's only through that he can feel that sort of attraction. As opposed to someone like the 10th Doctor, who is, you know, going around snogging every blonde in space and time.
Was you attracted to the girl with the weird face?
Pre-weird face or post-weird face?
post with the weird face, the one where it looks like a Snapchat filter?
Well, no, because it's very clearly a digital distortion that's making everything, She made a little girl scream.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? When that veil's pulled off and everyone goes, "Ah!" I went, "Huh?" I wasn't unsettled by it. That's what I thought. Oh, they tried.
I think the image alone, especially because, it's been over 10 years and we can tell it's like a digital distortion.
Could you not tell then? Was you like, wow, they've really fucked up that woman's face? They've done it. They've done it for real. Moffat's gone too far this time.
Well, when I was a kid, I remember it freaked me out because, you only see it for a split second. It plays this really creepy music. It's shot in a way that makes it scary. We've got a little girl screaming at it, indicating... And by the way, I have to give kudos to that girl. She's a
she's a good actress.
Actress. Of the kid actors they've had in the show so far, she's one of the best, if not the best.
Mini Clara. That's what she looks like, a mini Clara.
That didn't cross my mind.
Yeah. That's one thing I've noticed about us watching this, is that as a kid, you were a little wimp. You were scared a lot by Doctor Who. I'd never recall being scared by it once.
I was never hiding behind the sofa. I know there were lots of kids who hid behind the sofa when the Daleks appeared, and I've never found the Daleks scary.
Who's hiding behind sofas? That surface normally up against walls.
It was a thing. There are loads of people who hid behind the sofa as kids.
Yeah, but I'm thinking of every house I've been in. My house, my dad's house, my friend's house, my friend's flat I was in the other day. All the sofas are up against a wall. Who's hiding?
Maybe in the 70s they put sofas in the middle of the room.
Maybe they did. Anything else that I haven't got? I haven't got any questions for Forest of the Dead, actually. I forgot to take any notes down. So let's talk about River Song's death. Weirdly emotional, considering it's a character we've only just met.
Yeah. Well, is it? It's definitely emotional for the Doctor because it's got to a point where he trusts us because of the fact that she knows his name, which is Warren Who. That's his name. You've done it. That's the Doctor's name.
That's it, Warren.
Got it confirmed. Did were you lip reading River at that point?
Yeah, I was. She just goes, "You fucking called Warren, aren't you?" That's what she says.
I think I'm gonna have to call the Doctor Warren now.
Yeah, Warren Who?
He kind of looks like a Warren. I'm not gonna lie.
He does, doesn't he?
They all look like Warren.
They all look like Warrens.
Even Jodie looks like Warren.
You look at Matt Smith, and if he went, "My name's Warren," you'd go, "Of course it is," and stay with Capaldi.
So Tom Baker and they're all Warren.
They're all called Warren.
You've done it. Tim, this is the big mystery. Stephen dedicated a whole series to this, and you just solved it like that.
I slept on it.
Doctor Whose name is Warren.
Anyway, River's death. How do you feel? It was strange because when she first entered this episode, I was like, "Hey, it's River," and then I was excited to see her again, and then she died, and I was like, bum. That's a bummer.
Yeah, but it's really impactful, and I love the stuff that she's saying. When the Doctor was like, "No, I can save you. Time can be rewritten,and she's like, "No, not these times. Don't change your line."
Yeah.
And I thought that was
go on, sorry.
I was saying it's written in a way that it is quite whimsical and big and poetic, but there's a real truth to it in the way it's written and the way it's delivered. That really sold it. I just thought it was a really beautiful moment. Yeah.
I like the part where when she does die and he goes back to save her, and the way he's running and he's saying all this stuff, and I was like, oh, it's like he remembers. It's like he remembers the stuff he hasn't even done yet, and he's after everything we've been through, he's running and he's jumping through the hoops and whatever, and I was like, oh, it's like somehow he knows that everything she's saying is true. Do you know what I mean? Apart from the fact that she knows his name to be Warren.
Yeah. Everything with River in this just displays this incredible foresight. It's really like I'm not one usually to be super impressed by complex timey-wimey things, and I didn't think outside of Blink I would be, but I don't know. Just rewatching this, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I just have a whole new level of appreciation for River Song and how she's been handled, especially here. And it just like it all rings so true. Like if like a single River Song episode in the Moffat era had been written in a way which wasn't consistent or felt a little off, then that would have undercut this story. But the fact that all those stories since have just made this even more impactful, speaks volumes.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing more of her. So I'm all done on Forest of the Dead, Series 4, Episode 9. Oh, well, not Episode 9. Is it our 9th episode? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it is.
What's next? What's next week?
Next week is Midnight.
Oh, it is, yeah. And then we're into the big finale stuff. Woohoo.
Let's not skip over Midnight because I have thoughts on Midnight.
I know, I've been pleasantly surprised by Series 4. I was updating my rankings last night of episodes and stuff, and I look forward to when we finish the RTD stuff, sort of going, I'd like to rank, not every episode, but every series. Yeah. And I think it'd be good to do maybe we make top 10 10th Doctor episodes or something like that. Oh, the thumbnail, I can see it now. Like if we each did... He's a Strictly judge. I can see the thumbnail. He's a Strictly Come Dancing judge, and he's holding one of those panels that says 10. That's fun. I like that. I'll probably forget that by the time it rolls around. Anything that we haven't mentioned, Harry, that you would like to mention before we move into recommendations? I realised we went through the whole thing without saying what the girl's name is. It's Cal. The girl's called Cal. Oh, it is, isn't it? I didn't forget that. I just realised just described just the girl throughout the whole thing. But her name's Cal. It is. What a weird name. What's wrong with the name Cal? It's not a name, is it? Isn't it like, isn't that her initials? Yeah, because I got one question down and it was, what does the A stand for in Cal? And it's Abigail. Is it Anne? Nah. Annabelle? Abigail. Ah, fudge. Harry, what do you want to recommend?
Before I go, I just want to tell you you were fantastic.
Oh, recommendations. I said I'd been to cinema last week, but I went on a detour with it, recommending a film that wasn't in the cinema. I was meaning to actually recommend last week the film Candyman. Oh, I've had a few people come to see this. I've either heard people have really enjoyed it, or they've gone meh. Yeah, I went with like a few people, and they had it was a similar reaction. Some of them really liked it. Some of them like, I enjoyed it. It's I didn't find it particularly scary as a horror film, but I don't usually find horror films scary. So I was just kind of like appreciating what it was doing. Like, one thing I love about horror films is just like the imagery is always really inventive, and it's always shot in a really interesting way. And especially with, I don't know how much you know about kind of the Candyman and how he works. Nothing at all. It's one of those characters everything he makes satisfying and delicious. You can even eat the dishes. That song is in the movie. It's actually? Yeah. Oh, does the Candyman go, you say you could be a Wonkerer? Does he say that? No, the Candyman doesn't talk much. Fair enough. But the Candyman's like a slasher. Like, the Candyman's like, without giving away too much, for the Candyman to appear, you have to say his name 5 times into a mirror. And there's a lot of imagery with mirrors throughout the film that's very creative and fun. And what also, if you say it into a front-facing camera, like a selfie? What if you say it into a selfie? I think any reflection, and it works. Okay, but a camera's not really a reflection, is it? It's more of a... Film. Okay. And also, there's some cool social commentary in the film. Neat bit of that sprinkled in there. Well, not sprinkled in, it's very up front and centre. It's making a real point of it. Cool. I will add it to my list. Last year, or the year before,
I watched The Office, the American version, and in that, the character of Dwight says he's watched over 250 films, and I went, I think I've watched more than that. So I basically listed every film I could ever remember watching, and I've been adding to it since. And on Sunday morning, I reached 299, which means I'm about to reach my 300th film.
What are you going to watch as your 300th film?
It's going to be a film I've never seen before, obviously, to add it onto the list. It's going to be Pulp Fiction.
It's good. That's a good film.
It's a good 300th. Don't tell me anything about it. That's not what I'm recommending.
I was about to say, it's a weird recommendation if you've not seen it yet.
You may remember that we took a short break because I was meant to be moving flat and I still haven't. Hopefully, dear God, by the time this goes out, will be in my new flat. I'm meant to be moving in on the 11th. So I've been buying bits and bobs to go in it. And I want to recommend just buying art to go in your new flat or canvas stuff. And when I say art, I don't mean like a fancy painting or anything like that. I bought this that I know nobody can see apart from Harry, but it's a canvas of the comic book character Blade. It says Blade the Vampire, and it's big red canvas. I think that was like £4 from the range. So, spice up your walls.
I didn't know you liked Blade.
I've never read a single Blade or seen a single movie, but I saw that and I liked it.
Why do you ever just like the artwork of Blade?
I really liked the thing, and I was with Harrison when I bought it, and we were looking at the stuff, and a lot of it was the movies. Pardon me. A lot of it was the movies. It was like, here's a big thing of Chris Evans. I was like, well, I don't want Chris Evans on my wall. It's a bit weird. Or a lot of badly photoshopped pieces of work. And that was the only really comic book one then. I really like it. I like the big bold redness of it all.
You're going to read Blade now to justify having a big Blade canvas.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? It's like I've always resisted wearing t-shirts with band logos on because I'm always apprehensive I'm going to run into someone who's going to go, "What's your favourite Bowling for Soup album?" And I have to go, I don't freaking know.
I feel like Bowling for Soup plays, you know songs, but you don't know album names.
That's
true. Like the
Beatles,
the Beatles, how the album names are kind of in the public consciousness. Sgt. Pepper, Revolver, etc.
That always reminds me of one of my favourite Alan Partridge jokes, where he's talking to someone about the Beatles, and someone goes, "So what's your favourite Beatles album?" And he just goes, "I'll probably say the best of the Beatles."
Wait a minute. Is there a Bowling for Soup album called At the Movies or something?
I think there is, isn't there? Something like that.
Yeah. Is that the one?
I like Bowling for Soup. I'm off to see them next year. Can't wait.
That's going to be fun, yeah. I think they do a good live set from what I've seen.
Yeah.
It's a theme song.
I was talking to someone the other morning, and they were like, I was like, "Oh, what are you up to today?" They're like, "Oh, I've got to go to my sister's." He said it was his stepsister's mum's birthday, right? But the way he said it is his stepsister's name is Stacey. And he went, "Oh, it's Stacey's mum's birthday." And I just looked at him, and he looked at me and he was like, "Why are you looking at me like that?" And I was like, "Stacey's mum?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, Jesus." I just didn't get it. And in my head I'm going, da 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 da. So it's certainly sitting away, completely disinterested in the rest of the conversation.
Well, actually, Tim, I think you'll find that Stacy's mom was originally a Fountains of Wayne song, and it's very often misattributed to Bowling for Soup to the point
Isn't it either way? I thought it was either way.
No, it was originally by Fountains of Wayne. But the people who kept coming up to Bowling for Soup and saying, "Oh, my favourite Bowling for Soup song is Stacey's mom." To the point where they always play it in their live sets because there are loads of people who expect them to do it, and they have it with their own version. And the two versions sound virtually identical.
See,
I can tell difference because I'm like that.
Yeah. What I thought the story was, and I could be wrong, was that Bowling for Soup did it originally. But Fortune for Wayne, isn't it?
Fountains of Wayne.
Fountains of Wayne. They did the music video first, so that went on YouTube, and more people saw that.
No, Fountains of Wayne just did the song first, but it sounds a lot like Bowling for Soup, so people mistook it for a Bowling for Soup song.
Oh, well, there you go then. Right, holy shit, Oli! I didn't realise what the time was. It's 10 to 9. It's 10 to 10. I've got to be picking a friend up at 10:30, and I still need to shower. So that's this episode, everybody. We've been speaking for nearly an hour. All the stuff at the end of the episode. Jeez, I'm panicking. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Acast, and Anchor. Leave us a 5-star review wherever you can. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram and all that. All links in the description. Say bye real quick, Harry.
Bye-bye.
Make sure you subscribe to the official Bigger on the Inside podcast.